This is the College Football Countdown to Kickoff show on 97.3 ESPN with your host, Nick Costco. We're taking you up to the kickoff of Rutgers football. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Nick Costco.
Live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios is the College Football Countdown to Kickoff show right here on 97.3 ESPN. Your host, Nick Costco. We're getting right underway. We'll lead you up to Rutgers at Michigan, kicking off at noon. Rutgers taking on the 20th ranked Wolverines today. And, boy, I got a lot of thoughts about both teams. And obviously, Rutgers down in the dumps. Michigan getting blown out last week against Wisconsin. And, we'll spend the first segment on those two teams because, obviously, as an alum of Rutgers, I have a lot of thoughts on the Scarlet Knights right now. And, of course, with Michigan, I'll tell you, Jim Harbaugh, I have my thoughts on him too as well, so we'll dive into that throughout the first segment of the show. No guests today. We're going to spend the second portion of the show on the college football playoff rankings right now. Clemson, Bama, Georgia, LSU, and we'll look at the other five teams on the outside looking in, and we'll take a look at some of the scenarios. Obviously, we're only 4 or 5 games into the season. We're going on week 5 now of the college football season, so it's going to be interesting to see where these teams all end up. I'll give you my thoughts on where I think these teams are going to end up at the end of the year, who has a shot, who's already in, so to speak. And then obviously on the final portion of the show, I will give you my 4-pack of picks. I got 4 games. If you were just listening to Billy Schweim in the locker room, I teased my 4 games, and then we'll dive into those 6-6 on the season right now, folks. And I'll tell you, I'm giving you the opportunity to win money here. Don't forget that. And like I say every single week, if you listen to me and you get them right, boom, I win your money. But if you listen to me and you get them wrong, I could have said, well, I told you so, to not listen to me so you can win money by going to the opposite of what I'm saying to do. So, again, you can't really fault me for these picks. I'm going to say it every single week. But we're 6-6 on the season, looking to go over 500 here in week number 5. All right, so we will talk about Rutgers here. Also, you can text in 609-403-0973. Again, the text message board is 609-403-0973. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at Nick Costco59, NickKosko59. Any questions or thoughts about college football, send them my way via Twitter or the text board at 609-403-0973. All right, we got to start with Rutgers first, obviously, because, again, I said it last week, it's probably about time that it's put up or shut up time for Chris Ash. It just pains me as an alum because this team has been irrelevant for the last 5 years for the most part. The only relevance they get are the scandals, and that was the leftover mess from Kyle Flood when he was disgracefully ejected from the campus in Piscataway back in 2015. Again, for 2014, you had the first year in the Big Ten, 8-5, bowl game win, the final Schiano leftovers, but you have relevance. You beat Michigan. If it weren't for 5 turnovers against Penn State, you only lost by 3. They would have won. They would have beaten Penn State that year as well. You had a couple Big Ten wins as well. But where's this program gone? It's gone in the toilet. I'm telling you, and it's evident going back to 2 years ago, my senior year of college. This team was 4-8. They won 3 Big Ten games. I know they beat Purdue. I know they beat Maryland. I know they beat Illinois. Okay, so what, Nick? Well, those are the bottom of the barrel Big Ten teams. Yeah, but they were competitive, and you're thinking, all right, you go from 2-10 to 4-8 under a guy who's in his second season. Now you're going to third season under Chris Ash in 2018. You're like, okay, 5-7, 6-6, God forbid 7-5. You're going to go to a bowl game, and all right, Rutgers is on the come up again, and now you can expect that between 5 to 6 to 7, maybe even 8 wins a season, the occasional upset. That's fine. That's all Rutgers wants. That's all they want. Just be mediocre again. At this point in the Big Ten, just be mediocre. And it's gone so far down the rabbit hole here because they went 1-11 in Ash's third year last year. He's gone. You can't beat Boston College at home. You lose by 14, it's done. Get rid of him. I'm all for getting rid of him right now, but unfortunately they can't because if you get rid of him right now, what are you going to do? You have no head coach lined up for the end of the season. What are you going to do? Promote John McNulty to the interim head coach? You're not going to make him the head coach of this program. I'm glad you have offensive coordinator continuity, but you're not going to make him the head coach post-2019. The new guy you bring in, you're probably going to clean house. The only way McNulty probably stays as offensive coordinator is if Greg Schiano comes back. And I'll tell you what, I'm never usually for the sequel in terms of coaching or players coming back to a team in college or the pros, But if you can bring back Schiano, I most certainly think he can bring this program back to mediocrity. Can he win 6 games a year as head coach of Rutgers in the Big Ten? I think he absolutely can. Can he recruit much better than Chris Ash? He absolutely can. Are they going to win Big Ten titles and national championships? No, of course they're not. But if you bring back Schiano, you can talk to him now. He's not coaching. He's on TV somewhere. He's just sitting back, relaxing, collecting that small little. He might have an NFL pension at this point for coaching 2 years with the Bucks. Who knows? He's going to get a little money from that. He's beloved in Piscataway, New Jersey. You bring him back, I would say 75 to 80% of the fans wouldn't mind it. You have to do it at this point if you're going to bring back a familiar face. I don't know who else you would get. Lance Leopold from Buffalo? Come on. You think Rutgers fans are going to get Jim Harbaugh or Urban Meyer coming to Piscataway? No, absolutely not. I advocated for Chip Kelly a couple years ago. Look how that turned out. He's struggling at UCLA. There was no way that these big-name head coaches are coming to Rutgers unless you throw every single penny you have in your athletic department at them. And even then, it's not going to be enough for this dumpster fire. Let me tell you right now. And I got to say, the only logical option right now is to bring back Greg Schiano because you need to bring stability back to the program. You need to bring back a name recognition back to the program, respectability to this program. Just bring it back at this point. I don't care if they win 5, 6, 7 games for the rest of my life every year, but if you can win bowl games and occasionally get upsets in the Big Ten, I'm fine with that. Maybe there's one magical year when I'm 80 years old and they're going to win the Big Ten title. I don't know. Just get this program back to respectability, and they don't have that under Chris Ash. And I'm going to tell you right now, here is what he sounded like on Monday's presser. I believe this first cut is when he was talking about the penalty situation. All right, so Rutgers was pretty good in terms of penalties in the past couple of years. They're dead last right now. They are so undisciplined under this man. I don't understand. And here's how Chris Ash sounds. He is definitely mentally checked out. Here's what he said about penalties on Monday.
You're dead last in penalty yardage this year. What's been the issue with the penalties, lack of discipline? I know there were several personal fouls in the first game.
There's, like I've said before, there's different styles of penalties. The ones that you get frustrated about are foolish penalties, pre-snap penalties, or penalties because of just poor technique or fundamentals, and some that you live with because they're aggressive plays. And, you want your team to play aggressively. You want them to play intelligently and clean. But some of the penalties that may occur in some games, this last game was not the case.
Coach, what are you saying?
Some aggressive penalties you're fine with.
What is that? What, can anybody comprehend can you comprehend what he just said? Are you kidding? Oh, we'll take the aggressive penalties. No. Aggressive penalties. You want 15-yard penalties just because your guy hits a guy extra hard, and now because of the way football is nowadays, they have to make it safer. You'll understand if it's incidental helmet-to-helmet contact because a guy hits a guy 3 seconds after the whistle. You're okay with that? That's my interpretation of that. What the hell is that? I was there Monday. I was dumbfounded when he said that. I was like, what are you talking about? I get, you don't want the penalties on offense where you have the false starts, you have the mental checkouts. I get that. But you're okay. You shouldn't be okay with any penalties. You should be striving for perfection. I have another comment from Ash, too. This is what he said about being the underdog. Obviously, aside from against UMass, Rutgers is the underdog every week. And right now they're a 27.5-point underdog to Michigan on the road today. Here's what Ash said about being an underdog.
How do you go into this type of game where you're a big underdog? What's the mindset going into this type of game?
Go play our best game. We've discussed that a lot. I know I get a lot of questions about this being a big game. They're all big games. Our mindset is to go play the best football.
You lost a big game last week, Coach.
Who we play or where we play. That's it. The attitude of this team is outstanding. And I know some people may not believe that, but this team is
I don't believe that. Sorry.
Football team. It's a very positive football team. They're going to work every single day because of the love they have for each other.
Maybe you're positive,
and the love
Coach.
they have for the game. That's not going to change. That's the way they've been built. That's the way we've trained it. That's the way we've worked this off season, and that's not going to change.
You know what's not changing, Coach? The win column. It's going to stay at 1 at this rate. I don't know how anybody could be positive about this program right now. I think I'm the last person to jump ship, as people around here like to tell me. I'm jumping ship. He's got to go. It's done. And isn't it funny? They're playing Michigan today, and they'll get blown out. I'm already on record and I'll spoil one of my picks. I'm already on record saying they're going to lose 42-7 today. So Michigan will cover today. 609-403-0973. Want to chime in your thoughts? Rutgers, Michigan, college football playoff, anything on college football, let me know. 609-403-0973. It's funny they're playing Michigan because everyone's up in arms about Jim Harbaugh, and I think I'm actually probably one of the last Michigan supporters because there's been 2 seasons within the last 3 years where Michigan was on the doorstep of the college football playoff, and Jim Harbaugh cannot get him over the hump. Why? Because they can't beat Ohio State. And I went into this season saying this is the year for Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. If they can't do it this year, it's never going to happen. If you can't get to the college football playoff, if you can't win the Big Ten, get to the big dance later in the year, it's never going to happen for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Ryan Day's the new head coach at Ohio State. And what is Ryan Day doing? Well, he's taking that offense and made it even better because they got transfer quarterback Justin Fields. They're putting up 1,000 points a game. Justin Fields is going to win the Heisman running backwards this year, apparently. He's all of a sudden this great. I knew he was good, but now he's this great. My goodness. Michigan blown out by Wisconsin last week, 35-14. I mean, I don't understand how he survives after this year if they can't beat Ohio State and win and get to the Big Ten champion. They haven't even been to a Big Ten championship under Jim Harbaugh, let alone win one, and let alone get to the college football playoff. I mentioned those missed opportunities for Michigan the past couple years. 2016, they were number 3 in the country. Don't forget this. Number 3 in the country. Ohio State was number 2. You could have made the argument that the loser of that game could still get in. But they lost in double overtime, Michigan, and they ended up getting knocked out because other teams stepped up. Double OT on the road. You had this team on the ropes on the road at Ohio State, and they couldn't win. Lost in double OT. I get on the road. Fine. Last year, number 4 at Ohio State again. Win and you're in, because they would have rolled over they would have dominated the Big Ten championship both years. Number 4 last year in the country, final week of the year, at number 10 Ohio State. They lost 62-39. Dwayne Haskins said, all right, you know what? Let me throw for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in one game. That's fine. Jim Harbaugh is an absolute disgrace at Michigan. For some reason, I've supported Michigan. For some reason, I want to see Jim Harbaugh do well at Michigan because I'm tired of Ohio State in the Big Ten, and Michigan just cannot do it. I don't get it. Now, they only have the 2 losses already, right, this year. Is it 2? Yeah, thank you, Josh. It's 2 losses. Can they get to the playoff? I don't know. They have to win out and dominate everybody from here on out, win the Big Ten by, but 50 points. They're not going. The only way Jim Harbaugh saves his job is if he beats Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State, and wins the Big Ten championship. That's the only way Jim Harbaugh saves his job. Otherwise, go back to the NFL. As a matter of fact, he never should have gotten fired from the 49ers anyway. That was just the front office and management saying, we don't like you anymore, so we're going to get rid of you. 3 NFC championship game appearances, 1 Super Bowl appearance, and arguably a pass interference call away from a Super Bowl title with Colin Kaepernick, who's irrelevant in the league now. I don't care. He's been out of the league for 3 years now. He turned Colin Kaepernick into the greatest thing since sliced bread for a season and got him to a Super Bowl. He was a muff punt away from going to a Super Bowl the year before with Alex Smith. Jim Harbaugh should be counting his blessings that his days in Michigan are numbered. I could see a scenario where Michigan says, hey, you know what? Let's quote-unquote mutually part ways. We're not going to bring you back, but we're not going to say we fired you. We'll let you look for NFL jobs now. Start talk to the Cleveland Browns, talk to the Detroit Lions, talk to the New York Jets. Just, we don't want you anymore. We need to start fresh. We did a Michigan man with Brady Hoke. Didn't work out. You're a Michigan man. Not working out. You're not getting us over the hump. You've gotten us close. We're not getting over the hump. But Bo Schembechler couldn't win a national title at Michigan. So if he can't, Jim Harbaugh's not going to win one either. Couldn't get past Urban Meyer. James Franklin won one at Penn State, for God's sake. It angers me. Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten again. Unbelievable. All right, 609-403-0973 is the text board. Chime in. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick Cosco59, Nickkosko. 888-203-5959. Send me a tweet, send a text in. Give me your thoughts on college football. I'm going to tease a ticket giveaway, by the way, as well later in the show. I'm not going to reveal how to win yet, but I will tease that we're going to do something for some tickets to a college football game featuring Penn State later in November. So keep it locked here. Listening to the College Football Countdown to Kickoff show right here on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the College Football Countdown to Kickoff show with Nick Costco on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
College Football Countdown to Kickoff show right here on 97.3 ESPN. Your host, Nick Costco, back here for segment number 2. And now that my blood pressure is back to normal, we'll get into the college football playoff rankings right now. 609-403-0973. Give me your college football thoughts on the text board. Also tweet at me at Nick Costco59, NickKosko. I'll give you my 4-pack of picks later. 6-6 on the season. I'm breaking even with you guys here. So you're winning money, losing money, but it's all good. You're breaking even. You're not losing money. I can tell you that right now. So we were discussing the state of the programs really for Rutgers and Michigan, and obviously neither of those teams are making the college football playoff, particularly Michigan. Rutgers, I think Rutgers has a shot, actually. Oh, boy. Okay, all right. Clemson is number 1, Bama 2, Georgia 3, LSU 4. Those are your playoff teams at the moment, as we go into week number 5 here in the college football season here in 2019, the 150th college football season as well. The teams on the outside looking in right now are Ohio State, Oklahoma, Auburn, Wisconsin, and Florida in that order. I only put those in up to spot number 9 because they're all undefeated. And I think all of those teams have a realistic shot of getting in. Other than the 9 teams that I've mentioned so far, other than the top 9 right now, I can't see anybody else coming out of nowhere to jump up. I think Notre Dame's pretty much done. I know they only have one loss, and if they run the table the rest of the way, they could make the argument to get in because their only loss is to Georgia, another potential playoff team. I get that, but Notre Dame playing the independent schedule, it's just not up to par because their big games are Georgia, which they lost on the road, albeit great game, close game, but they play Michigan, and Michigan's is down in the dumps right now, ranked at number 20, and they already have 2 losses. So, where does that lie now for Notre Dame? I don't know. I don't think they really can't make it. Sorry, Michigan has 1 loss. I want to correct myself. Michigan has 1 loss. They're 2-1. But still, they are going to probably lose another game at some point this season. Penn State.
Doesn't it just feel like Michigan never wins anyway? Like they only beat the Cupcakes.
Right. I almost want to say. I can almost count the Army game, which was the overtime win, as a loss. I can almost count that as a loss. So. They have 2 losses with an asterisk. Let's leave it at that. But Michigan is 2-1, so we'll leave it at that. But again, the undefeated teams are the only ones that I think are going to get in, and then you have maybe 1 or 2 one-loss teams get in. But I would say Clemson's your automatic in because the ACC is a steaming pile of what. So they're gonna roll through that conference. I can't. Who's going to be the only potential upset for Clemson this year was Syracuse, and Clemson mopped the floor with them. It was a great game last year, sure, but this year, just not even close. So Clemson's going to get in. I would be utterly shocked and appalled, actually, if Clemson did not get in. And if they even lost the game before the playoff, I'd be shocked. So Clemson's in. I would say Bama's going to get in undefeated as an SEC champion, or they're going to get in with 1 loss because it's Bama. The brand of Bama is that strong. I think they're that good. When you have a Heisman candidate quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, you have Jerry Jeudy at wide receiver. You have 50,000 running backs that are, they have a running back drafted to the NFL every single year that you've never heard of, and then they become a guy like Mark Ingram or Derrick Henry. And then they have a potential to win the Heisman. So, and of course, you can't mess with the Alabama defense. Oh boy, you want to talk about some big boys? Look up front. Look at that front 4 for Alabama. The front 7 really with those linebackers. So I would say Bama's going to get in. The big games for them this year, obviously, are going to when they host LSU on November 9th. That potentially could be an elimination game because they're in the same division. Don't forget. And obviously with Auburn and Alabama, the Iron Bowl every year. And Auburn's really good. Auburn's really good this year. They're ranked number 7 right now. LSU obviously number 4. So can I see one of those 2 teams sneaking in with 1 loss? I could. The only thing is they are going to have to be in the SEC. The only way the SEC gets two teams in again, and it's happened before, the champion will get in, and then the team that loses the championship with one loss, if they have one loss, will get in. Or, try this on for size, the champion will get in. Let's just play a hypothetical here. Let's say Auburn. I'm trying to think of a way that they get in. I can't think of a scenario off the top of my head, but let's say Alabama or Auburn or LSU, they're representing that division with one loss in the championship game against an undefeated Georgia. Now, let's say one of the other two that I just mentioned also has one loss. For a scenario, let's say Georgia's 12-0, Bama is 11-1 somehow. And then let's just say LSU is also 11-1. But Alabama's in the championship games, they have a tiebreaker. Let's just say LSU lost to somebody else. Okay? Or they lost to Alabama. Let's just say that. Actually, here we go. Let's do this. Now, it's all clicking, folks. Bama has one loss, right? They say they lose to Auburn at the end of the year, but Auburn can't get in based on tiebreakers.
By the way, that game is at Auburn this year.
Right, so that's going to be even bigger. So let's say Bama has the edge over LSU with one loss, but they lose to Auburn. But Bama's one loss is to Auburn, right? But they have tiebreakers, so they get in. So let's say Auburn has maybe 2 conference losses or something. So we have now an undefeated Georgia and a one-loss Bama. Obviously, the winner is going to go to the playoff. Now, if Bama wins, I'd say Bama and Georgia get in, right? But if Georgia wins in this scenario, they're 13-0, and Bama's now 11-2, what do? Bama's not getting in with 2 losses. But can LSU get in with one loss, being their only loss to Alabama, which was a conference finalist? You can make the argument because LSU's been so good this year, and their only losses to Alabama, which, again, 2 losses, but Georgia gets in, probably the 1 or 2 seed, so you have Clemson, Georgia. Now, can you put LSU in there with one loss, despite the fact they did not go to the conference championship? And the reason why I say this is because, go back a couple of years ago, Penn State had the tiebreaker over Ohio State in the Big Ten. Penn State won the Big Ten title with 2 losses, but Ohio State had one loss, did not make the championship game, and they still got in. That is a distinct possibility. So those are the 2 biggest games for Bama left on the schedule. They're going to play Ole Miss today and absolutely run away with it. There's no contest. There's no more Chad Kelly at Ole Miss. Georgia's biggest games of the year are Florida November 2nd, and then they play Auburn 2 weeks later. They're at Auburn. Now Florida's very interesting. Again, if you have an undefeated SEC championship game or SEC champion, Florida can do that too. Florida's pretty good, and they somehow, some way, looked even better without Felipe Franks at quarterback last week. I don't know how, but the fact that they are remaining top 10, people want to say they're not really the 9th best team in the country. I beg to differ. Florida's really good. They will have their measuring stick game against Georgia on November 2nd. Now, again, Georgia can get all screwed up if they lose one of those 2 games, but those are the 2 big games for Georgia remaining on the schedule. Obviously, I would say, here's another scenario to throw at you, because Alabama and Georgia don't play each other. So how about this? If Bama and Georgia are both 12-0 going to the SEC championship game, you're basically playing for a higher seed. They're both going to get in because Georgia has the big win over Notre Dame, and in this scenario, they would have beaten SEC rivals Florida and Auburn, who are perennial top 10 teams right now. I would say if you have Georgia and Bama 12-0 by the end of the season playing for an SEC title, you're going to see them both in the playoff, and you'll maybe see a potential rematch. Now, with the college football playoff would make this happen. They would make sure that Bama and Georgia are not 2-3 because Clemson's number 1 all year. If they're undefeated, they're going to be number 1. So the SEC winner is going to be number 2. The SEC loser in this scenario, if Georgia and Bama are undefeated and the loser loses the SEC title game, they'll make sure the loser of the SEC title game is the 4 seed and will play Clemson. They're not going to make Alabama and Georgia rematch a couple weeks later in the semifinals of the playoff. That's moronic because you would potentially want another Georgia-Alabama college football national championship. Now, it's interesting the fact that right now the rankings feature an ACC team and 3 SEC teams, Bama, Georgia, and LSU. The other teams on the outside looking in, Ohio State, Oklahoma. So now, again, these are all the scenarios if the SEC is running the table here. But obviously, I would say Ohio State is easily in if they're undefeated, and they very well are going to go undefeated because I can't see them losing to Michigan this year. Michigan's a joke, as I mentioned earlier in the show. The only way I see Ohio State losing, Penn State always run for their money, and Penn State's a little bit better than I thought they were going to be this year. And Michigan State's weird. I'll tell you, even a down year, they can go 6-6, 7-5, and they could still knock off a team like Ohio State. So Ohio State, if they're undefeated, I would say they can roll through the Big Ten. Other than on their schedule, they do have Wisconsin, and then you could see a potential rematch in the Big Ten championship game because I think Wisconsin is easily the best team right now in the West in the Big Ten. The way Justin Fields is playing right now for Ohio State is just ridiculous. And also the way Jonathan Taylor is running the football for Wisconsin, Salem boy right here in South Jersey, he's ridiculous. Also, by the way, just to torch myself and you guys out there, former Rutgers commit, like Saquon Barkley. Just throwing that one out there, too. All right. Oh, boy. But Ohio State, undefeated, get it. Usually, if you're one of these big teams, you're going to get in if you're undefeated. So, again, Clemson's going to be in. The SEC winner, if they're undefeated, whether it be Bama, Georgia, or another team, they're going to get in. You could see a one-loss SEC team get in. I can't see 2 Big Ten teams get in. It's only going to be Ohio State or Wisconsin if they remain undefeated. At this rate, a one-loss, maybe. I'm telling you, if Michigan wins the rest of their schedule and wins the Big Ten title, maybe they do get in as a one-loss team. Because then I get they lost they got blown out by Wisconsin. But let's just say hypothetically, Michigan runs the table, they finish 12-1, and they beat Wisconsin in a rematch in the Big Ten title game. It cancels out that first game, and I think Michigan would probably get into the playoff at that point. Oklahoma, I think they're the only team out of the Big 12 that can get in. Maybe Texas. I don't think Texas is going to get in. Oklahoma, Big 12 again, undefeated. They'll get in. Jalen Hurts is playing fantastic. I love him. I'm telling you, he's going to be a first-round pick by the end of the year. Lincoln Riley works magic. He's a quarterback. You want to talk about a quarterback guru? It's Lincoln Riley. He's going to. I think he's going to have 3 straight Heisman winners. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. Who's competing with Jalen Hurts right now? Justin Fields, okay. Tua, Jonathan Taylor, okay. But I think right now you have the Heisman has turned into a quarterback type of award now. I hate it because, I mean, don't you remember when Manti Te'o was one of the finalists? When's the last time a defensive player was a finalist? Manti Te'o. What's he doing in the NFL? Is he still on the Chargers, Josh? Josh, look that up for me. Again, I mentioned Clemson is a shorter spot. I can't see him losing. An undefeated SEC team, whether it be Bama, Georgia, LSU, or even Florida. How about Auburn? I think one of those 4 teams or one of those 5 teams is going to go undefeated at some point, and they will get in. And then you have the rest are going to sort it out. But again, Clemson, Bama, Georgia, LSU, your top 4 right now, and then your 5 through 9: Ohio State, Oklahoma, Auburn, Wisconsin, Florida. Those I think are out of those 9 teams, you're going to get 4 of those 9. Those are your only chances those are your only playoff teams this year. 4 of those 9. And obviously, again, the wild card is Michigan if they run the table, but I can't see that happening. God forbid, after my ranted, they lose to Rutgers today, which is never going to happen, please. But if that happened today, then you might as well fire Jim Harbaugh today. And I would still fire Chris Ash because he's gonna tickle your rear end with a feather there. So we don't want that. Josh, is Manti Te'o still playing in the NFL?
Manti Te'o was on the Saints last year.
That's right, he was on the Saints last year.
I'm not seeing him on an NFL roster.
He's a free agent right now.
Yeah, I'm just double checking.
Well, he was okay with the Chargers, but what are you gonna do? When
looks like he's currently a free agent.
When you have a ghost of a girlfriend, geez, Nick, shut up. Okay, all right. We'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We're gonna do some picks. 4-pack of picks. I'm gonna try to win you some money this week. We're 6-6. Try to go over 500. 609-403-0973 is the text message board. You want to chime in on your final college football thoughts before we send it out to Ann Arbor for the call for Rutgers against Michigan. Keep it locked here. College football countdown to kickoff show right here, 97.3 ESPN.
This is the College Football Countdown to Kickoff show with Nick Costco on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
College football countdown to kickoff show right here on 97.3 ESPN. Got a few minutes left. We're going to do these a little faster because I went off on a couple tangents today. And always forget, we only have about 40-plus minutes here with you folks every morning. Every weekend before Rutgers football. We're going to lead you up to Rutgers, Michigan today right here on 97.3 ESPN. Kickoff set for noon with Chris Collin, Ray Lucas, and Eric LeGrand. Actually, I don't think Eric travels, so I think it's just Chris and Ray today. But usually when they're at home, it'll be Chris, Ray, and, of course, Eric LeGrand. Also, by the way, next week, on October 5th, as of now, we are planning to be out live from SHI Stadium on the campus of Rutgers University before the kickoff of Rutgers against Maryland. That will be at noon, so you'll hear me at 11 a.m. following Billy Schweim in the locker room, and, of course, Pete Thompson at 8 a.m. as well. So you'll hear me live from the stadium next week. As of now, we'll keep you posted if that's going to change or not. But as of right now, the plan is to be up at Rutgers University next week. We'll do our second show live from the stadium. It's whether they win or lose, it's nice to be back at my alma mater and just kind of soaking up the atmosphere. It was cool on that opening Friday night against UMass, and it was really cool. So all right, so we're going to fire through these quickly. All right, we got Florida Atlantic at Charlotte today. I got Florida Atlantic +1, so take FAU, take the Owls today. It's basically a pick 'em. Charlotte got blown out by Clemson the other week. So, I mean, again, how is Florida Atlantic a 1-point underdog of the road? Take Florida Atlantic. Take my boy Ray Ellis, defensive tackle, Holy Spirit High School, and also EHD Pal Youth Football. Love you, buddy. Florida Atlantic +1 today. Pick 'em. Number 18, Virginia at number 10, Notre Dame. I'm going to take Virginia today +11.5. That's a lot of points on the road, and I think Virginia's a little bit better than people give them credit for. I think Notre Dame might be coming off that emotional high of playing Georgia last week, so I like Virginia today with the +11.5, so take them. Washington State at number 19, Utah. I like Utah at home -6. I think they're at least a touchdown better than Washington State. Could be a high-scoring game today, but I like Utah to bounce back this week, -6. And then finally, Rutgers at number 20, Michigan. Michigan is -27.5. Jeez. Ugh. Take Michigan. Take Michigan the points. I said 42-7 today in my post for the On the Banks blog, Rutgers SB Nation blog. So, again, Florida Atlantic +1. Number 18, Virginia +11.5. Number 19, Utah at -6. And take Michigan at number 20, Michigan at -27.5 over Rutgers State. Those are your 4-pack of picks. 6-6 on the season. Looking to be 10-6 by next week. Remember, you can catch me 11 a.m. next week on the College Football Countdown to Kickoff show live from SHI Stadium right here on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks to Josh for pushing all the buttons. Thanks to Billy Schwein for doing the crossover before. I am Nick Costco saying so long. Rutgers, Michigan is up next right here, 97.3 ESPN.